Hello, everybody, and welcome to our first parent leadership meeting for the 2014-2015 year. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Well, welcome everybody. We're glad to have you all here. We're glad to have all our regulars back, and I was so excited to see that we have so many new people. So thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We're going to do something a little different to start with because I wanted to kind of revisit. For those of you that are new, this is kind of a new position for me still. I was only here for about 3 meetings last year and took over for an amazing, wonderful Jenny Gleason. And so with me being new and with me knowing that we have lots of new people, I wanted to kind of review and refresh our memories of what our purpose is. Why are we here and what are we doing? A big push in education is, it's with our students, it's with our teachers, it's with our educational leaders, is to do things where we work together more, where we think more, and we dig a little deeper into things. So I kind of wanted to do that with you guys today. And there's a chance you'll be a little out of your comfort zone, but that's not a bad thing. So I want you to just kind of go with me here and give it a try. I want you to think about what is the definition. What is parent leadership? Okay? Take a second and just think about it. What is your definition? What is parent leadership in your eyes? There's no right or wrong answer, but that's what we're all here for. So what is it, and what does it mean to you? What does it look like? What are you trying to accomplish? On your paper, there's a small half sheet of pink paper. I want you to jot down. It doesn't have to be a complete, perfect sentence, but jot down some ideas, something that shows what parent leadership is to you, what it looks like, what's your vision for what parent leadership is. I'm going to give you about a minute to do that. I see lots of pens moving. That's good. Okay, now that you have some thoughts on a sheet of paper, I want you to share at your table with the people at your table what you wrote. What are some things that you put on your paper about what it looks like, what it should be? I know this is a little weird and uncomfortable, but work with me. This is what your kids are doing in school. This is what the teachers are doing. When you share these ideas and you talk to other people about them, it helps your vision come together. So share with the people at your table, introduce yourselves real quick, and share a little bit about what you wrote. There we go. Good job. Okay, I hate to stop people from talking and sharing ideas, but for time, I need to. So finish up that last thought. See, first I couldn't get you all to talk, and now you don't want to stop. All right, I want you to take what you heard from the people at your table, from your peers. See if your definition, what you wrote on your paper, is there any way you want to tweak that a little bit? Take 1 second. Is there anything that you heard that just sparked something? You're like, okay, I want to just change mine a teeny tiny bit. And you're going to write that down for me. And what I'm going to have you do is leave these in the table, okay? And I'm going to compile them and type them up, and we're going to share these and do more with these later on, okay? Not today, in the future. All right, so if there's anything you need to tweak there, go ahead. So now that I got you thinking about parent leadership, because what I want for you is more than just to come here and get information and go back and put your stuff in a binder and be done with it. I want you to really take on that leadership role. I want you to morph into something that goes out within the community, within the schools, with other agencies, and work to make not only education but children's lives better. Now, to what degree all of us can do that is different, and that's okay. Whether it's a little bit of volunteering in the classroom, whether it's your PTA or PTO, whether it's SAC, whatever way you do it, that's great. But it doesn't matter if you're a room mom, if you're just sitting on the sidelines at one of your children's teams, being a leader, that's the same thing. It doesn't have to be a huge capacity, it could be a small capacity, but there's a huge opportunity for you to make changes and influence children's lives. So I want you to realize that and take that way with you today. When we talk about our purposes for the parent leadership team, what we're doing here today, our goal is twofold, okay? The first goal is that I want you to learn things about our curriculum, about our organization as a whole. Okay, Brevard Public Schools, how's it run? What do we have to offer? What kind of programs are there? What's new that's coming out? You're kind of like these little mini experts for us that are on the parent side, that are looking at it from the parents' eyes. The administrators look at it from their perspective and what it means to them, but I want you to look at it from your perspective and what it means to the parents. And you're kind of like that liaison there on campus to help out. So one, you're becoming leaders and you're sharing this information with other people at the school. Two, I want to help build your leadership capacity. That's the part that I'd like to add to the meeting. Building your capacity means your knowledge base and your ability to go out there and make a difference, whether, like I said, it's in schools or in the community. So those are the two things that we're trying to do here. So later on, as you do something else I ask, you can be thinking about what I'm putting out there is kind of our mission and our vision, and mix that with what you wrote down on your pink sheet of paper. So for today, when you leave here, what is your job? What is your actual duties in this position you've taken on? First, I need everybody to go back to their school, and I need you to look for your parent leadership team binder. Okay? Everyone kind of keeps it in a different place. It's supposed to be wherever your parents go. If you have a parent resource room, that would be the best place. If you have nothing like that, but you have the front office, then that's where it might be. But every school should have a parent leadership team binder. With a very small budget, which is pretty close to zero, I didn't want to go purchasing brand new fancy binders for everybody if we already have them at a lot of the schools. So I'd like for everyone to look and see if you have your binder. If you have your binder or do not have your binder, I want you to let me know either way. I'd like to get an email. My information's all on the blue agenda. I'd like to get an email saying, yes, I have a binder, or no, I don't have a binder. If you don't have a binder, I'm going to get you a binder. If your binder's in super bad shape, let me know. I'll get you a new binder. Then I want you to take everything out of it, and you may ditch that information. And I'd like you to put in today's information. So what you get with you when you come here, your agenda, your packet, it's really not your information, it's the school's information, so you put that in that binder. You're welcome to make your own copies, of course, and I will be putting it all on the website along with this presentation A video of the presentation will always be on the website, so you have access to that if you want to use clips of it, or if you want to make copies and distribute more of that, or if you'd like to have your own set. But that information needs to go in there, so every time you leave, you put that in the binder. I have a feeling some of these binders are at the school, and no one knows they're there. So that's the second part of your mission, is making sure people know that there's great stuff in there. Principals get this information too. A lot of times school secretaries do, but a lot of times some of it applies more maybe to one school or one thing and not others, so some of it kind of goes over everyone's head. If you know that something's particular of interest to your school or a group of students in your school, then try to help make sure that somebody at the school knows that that information's in there so that it can get out. Make sure your PTA and your SAC people know, because a lot of time that information applies to them. 2, share with that PTA and SAC. You're kind of, again, that liaison that gets that information out there. Many of you are double dutying, and you are the PTA and the SAC, and I know that. So that's good, but if not, then make sure they know that information is there and that they have access to it. And then third, this is my little extension thing. I was joking to somebody that you have homework and that I wasn't kidding. I want you to think about these questions. And if you're interested and if you'd like to dig a little deeper into all this, then share your thoughts with me on what's your dream for parent leaders in Brevard County? What would you like to see that role be? Do you want more than just coming to a meeting, getting information, and going back? How do you see parent leadership in this county growing? Also, what barriers are in the way of that dream? So once you have that big, wonderful, magical vision of what parent leadership looks like here, what do you see in the way of that? What's preventing you from being able to take that next step to act? Okay. I had a super cool little video. Does everyone know the little boy, what's his name, Javon? Kid President, yes. I had the cutest little video, and I'm going to have to hold off, and I'm going to send it to you on an email because it's that cute. And I want you to watch it today. When you're still thinking about parent leadership and you're still kind of in that mood to act a little bit, watch this because he's awesome. He's a great little motivator. So please make sure you leave that pink sheet in the middle for me so I can get all that together. I appreciate you going outside of the box and comfort zone a little bit and thinking and sharing, and I hope that you enjoy that and that you want to do more of that in the future, because that's something I want to be a big component of all our meetings in the future. So next up, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us. This is a bit important stuff. Okay, guys?
I didn't know if I had to be up at this one. You don't. Oh, yay, I can rove. Good morning, parent leaders. It's such an honor to be amongst you today and to be invited back on behalf of Brevard Save Our Students. My name is Laene Keith. Hi, I am a parent here in Brevard Public Schools. I have 2 great children who have now just bumped up to the middle school, so I'm a new fish in a new pond. And one of the areas I also am involved with is our elementary school. And so what this has enabled us to do is become very active and involved and engaged with the concern and the interest in the half-cent sales tax. So my name is Laene Keith. I will be talking to you about the Brevard Save Our Students initiative. This is the upcoming half-cent sales tax. Raise your hand if you've already read the verbiage and the wording for the half-cent sales tax that we will vote on November 4th. Wow, that's because we're amongst those amazing parent leaders who have said, this is important to me. I want to know more about what this is about. So the Brevard Save Our Students is a very grassroots. I came to you last year in March, April, May, and spoke to you about the initiative of this very grassroots organization. We are comprised of parents, grandparents, retired educators, retired administrators, community leaders and members who are very concerned about the fact that the capital funding for Brevard Public Schools is in jeopardy. And as a result of that, the half-cent sales tax is designed to implement those changes. Oops, we're jumping ahead here. Here we go. Brevard Save Our Students has had a plan in progress since November of 2013. So when you stop and think, November 4th, 2014, that's eons from now. But what you have to think about is getting the word out to 72,000 students, parents, grandparents, community members who may or may not have children in our public school system. That's quite a task. And to look around the room and say that about 70% of the folks in the room here today are aware of the verbiage for the half-cent sales tax language, that tells me that a good number of people in our community may not be as knowledgeable as the community members in here today. So our initial goal was to find out who endorses the half-cent sales tax. Those are parents. Those are concerned community members who say our children are affected by the state of public schools. We also asked our community to help spread the word. We did a Facebook page where we invited folks to be on social media. This enabled people to have the community know about the half-cent sales tax initiative. And we began distributing information at community events. The areas that we're asking now for your assistance and for your engagement is to be that very amazing parent leader that I know that we are surrounded by today. You are the folks who are on the ground, you're in the classroom, you're in the school building, you're attending our school advisory council meetings and our parent-teacher organization meetings and saying, look folks, this affects our children. When we think about how this is going to impact our own classmates' children, our own neighbors, and the greater good of our school and our community, we know that this is a very important endeavor. We are asking folks, such as yourself, to come out, parents, grandparents, community leaders, to say, I have a business, I have a community neighborhood, I have a park in my neighborhood where I can actually place a sign that helps to create awareness for folks to vote yes on the half-cent sales tax in November. We're asking for volunteers to cover precincts, sign waves, phone banks, these types of examples where you can say, you know, I feel passionately about our public schools and I want to tell you about it. When you have somebody on the other line of that phone who is active and engaged in their own children's school community, it makes you want to sit up and listen. When you have folks who say, you know, our public schools are in need of repair, many of you have been already noticing the capital improvement plan that is going to take place when the half-cent sales tax passes. These are the things that are hitting our children at home, isn't it? The air conditioning units, the repairs of the buses, the AC unit, the roofing. These are things that I have heard over the years of folks coming to Dr. Bingley and saying, when is that fence going to be fixed? That's a safety and security issue for my children at our school. And those are the examples that we think of when we think of voting yes on the half-cent sales tax. So what has Brevard Save Our Students done? We have already identified, in conjunction with the school board, and the referendum language has been approved. This was approved since June 9th of 2014. An independent oversight committee has been established in the sense of the criteria for that. That means that the Brevard Save Our Students independent oversight committee is going to be created, and these are going to be the individuals who are going to help ensure that the areas that we're going to be told to be worked on are in fact going to be worked on. Okay, so it's like that checks and balance. We see the school board as a very integral part of that from the dais up here. However, we know that it was important from the community to see that for the next 6 years, while this money is being utilized and spent, that it is noticeable and it is transparent. And those are the important components when we think of the community involvement. You may have already seen on the internet, and maybe you'll see it today too, the Kelly Slater Surfing Champion endorsement. I think that's incredible. The GoPro that he's using when he's out there surfing and telling the families and children that education is important to all aspects of life here in Brevard. And then just recently, we've had the Colonel Danny McKnight of Black Hawk Down. Can remember that great film. That endorsement was released also very recently. Okay. In the meantime, we've been attending various legislative meetings. We've been attending various candidate and issue hobnobs. This took place at the port, for example, and this was a great opportunity along with the July 4th parades for people to see and notice on the street this half-cent sales tax. When you walk up to people and they indicate to you, oh yeah, I've heard about that. I don't have children in the school system anymore, but I think education is important to our whole community. One of the very first comments and observations that our community makes is when they're moving to a new area is how are the schools and what are you noticing in the school community as a whole. And so when you think of business, real estate, all of these are integral parts and components to our great community here. Okay, so as we just heard from Dianna, we were asked what can we do and how can we take this information forward as parent leaders? And I think that's one of our biggest tasks. If you'll please take note of the following dates, we have several important meetings and events that are going to be coming up. The next slide is going to be targeting 2 volunteer community leadership meetings that I would very much enjoy either seeing your friendly face or maybe your representative from your school. Somebody that you would like to have come out and you know would make a great ambassador for the Brevard Save Our Students initiative, because we know as a grassroots organization, we have a reach that goes so far. But then as soon as we start reaching out to other community members and neighbors and friends and business owners, we know that that reach extends quite a bit further. We have targeted sign waves. This is going to be an opportunity for folks to be in the community at busy rush hour times when people are driving home and to and from work and noticing, oh yeah, I heard that we're going to be voting on that half-cent sales tax. I've heard about that. That's important, isn't it? There's also going to be a sales tax forum that is going to take place at BCC, I should say that differently, Eastern Florida State Community College. That's going to be taking place on September 16th, as well as the reopening of the Art Center in Titusville. I look around and I know that we have a great representation from our North County area as well. And so I think it's important to notice that a reopening of an art center is going to be taking place there, and they're having the Tuesday forum there. And finally, many of us say, well, I couldn't get to the election polls on November 4th. I know we're all busy. We all have very, very active lifestyles. We have employment opportunities. We have children who have to be cared for during and after school. And there is a fabulous opportunity right here in Brevard for your absentee ballot. Do we have absentee ballot takers in the audience today? I see lots of head nods. And this is probably one of the most convenient services that I can imagine that we have available to us as voters. So first and foremost, we would like to ask for your vote, for vote yes. However, we also want to make you aware of this gives you time to actually study your ballot instead of feeling that rushed feeling that you might notice because there's a long snaking line and your children are waiting for you at car loop, or your boss is saying, how come you weren't in time today? This gives you an opportunity to really study the issues and be aware of what's happening in our community. So our immediate volunteer needs. We are looking for, as I said, volunteer area coordinators. Our reach is very strong, but it can be even stronger when we have neighbors in Mims, neighbors in Grant, neighbors in West Melbourne, neighbors in Suntree. When we have community leaders who are saying, oh, I have an awesome office space that my director or I would be very happy to place large signs in our yard to help create and maintain awareness for the half-cent sales tax. And we're also looking for volunteers to distribute yard signs. Perhaps you have an office space where you can store these types of equipment items too. As you'll notice on here, Monday, September 8th, we tried to make these as very conducive to both families who work during the day and those who work in the evening, for example. We have family meetings that will be held on Monday, September 8th at 6 o'clock, and then once again on Thursday, September 18th at 10:30 in the morning. The meeting is quite central. It's in the Suntree area. You'll notice that it's located at Hope Episcopal Church. We've had a great partnership with Heather Barlow, who is a community volunteer, and has secured arranging spaces so that we can have a larger forum just like this today. Yard signs will in fact be available then, and I know that I had a young lady ask me for a yard sign today, as a matter of fact, and we would like you to take these signs home with you, not just keep them in your garage, but go ahead and keep those out in your yard, keep those out in your business center and front and center as well. I cannot thank you enough for your leadership. I feel strongly that the parent leaders are the voice of Brevard schools in general. We are the ones who are saying we are concerned, we are active and engaged parents and grandparents and community members, and I invite you to partner with Brevard Save Our Students as we vote yes on the sales tax on November 4th, 2014. Have a wonderful morning, and thank you again for having me today. I'd be happy to entertain questions, absolutely. There's a mic over here, but I'd be glad to give you this one.
Okay. Hi. The media has been talking about board members who do not support the tax as concerned parents who do support it. How do you recommend we respond to that when someone says to us, well, the board doesn't even support it?
So I cannot speak on behalf of the board, for example. However, I can tell you that this has come up in conversation regarding board electorate, okay? So I can speak for what I know from a public perspective for the current seated school board members, which they did in fact pass the referendum, which said that they need these 5 votes to vote yes to have this referendum placed on the ballot, and that therefore is our support. How I think that we are then tasked to inform our neighbors, upcoming candidates, for example, for various school board positions, is very much the way you just said. Educating, informing, and saying, help me understand why that is a barrier for you to consider voting yes. So I think that we have to go back to our board members, our candidates, for example, and say, this is important to me as your potential constituent, and this is how I will vote based on your decision, on how your decision is going to be on that school tax vote. So I think that it's back in our hands to then say, this is important to me and my vote matters. Okay. Well, thank you all very much, and I hope you have a wonderful morning. Oh, I'm seeing your hand. There's a microphone right there.
Can you clarify a little bit more? I know you spoke about the independent board that will be set up. How and when and who will that board be made up of? Thank you.
Okay, so we have a question about the Independent Oversight Committee. And one of the most important pieces of that is going to be independent from the Brevard Public Schools as a whole. And that means that it's going to be completely independent of. There will be, and this is being formulated right now, there is going to be criteria to apply to be on this position. The committee is going to be thinking of things like criteria for attorney, county developer, types of roles that you may have played in the past before, land business development types of roles, parent leadership, educational leadership. These are the types of components that we want to pull in. This committee has not been seated yet, which is a very good thing because it allows folks like us to say, you know what, I want to put my name in the hat and I want to be considered to be a part of that independent oversight committee. So I think the biggest takeaway message from that is that it is independent and it is an oversight committee which is going to be helping guide and determine how in ensuring that those dollars will be spent in the way that they have been allocated. Okay. Thank you for asking. Oh, I see your hand. I'll hand you.
This is just kind of a question. I'm not sure how it's allowed in schools. We have a video club at our school, and we were wondering, are we able to have the kids do like a video, say go to the media center, go to the art room, go to PE, go to the different places where everything will be, canceled for the schools, and the teachers will lose their jobs. Are the kids allowed to do a video like that and then have it, I don't know, put out on the? So yes, exactly, school news or like even here or something like that. I don't know.
So once again, I'm speaking on behalf of Brevard Save Our Students, and this is going to be a Dianna or a Michelle Irwin, who is the Director of Communications, question to address. What I can tell you with certainty is that school time, school resources, and the children's educational time cannot be affected. So what folks do, if you say, we're going to be walking in front of our school, but we're not going to be on school campus, for example, those types of advertising cannot happen on school time, school property, school environment. So it's up to us then to be that loud voice that says, these are at risk. Maybe you're at a neighborhood park or your backyard backyard has a playground and you would say, wow, I noticed this playground equipment is broken. This is in jeopardy because our safety and security, those kinds of examples. But we as parents cannot be on the school campus taking away time from educational opportunities to advocate for the half-cent sales tax. So, sticky wicket and fine line. I can stand here today on behalf of Brevard Save Our Students, but I couldn't give you information that says you must vote yes on this. I'm only giving you guidelines and suggestions on how you might consider voting that we hope that you'll vote yes. Hi, I'm going to...
I would like to know, is this volunteer committee going to be volunteers, I hope, not a paid position? That we're not going to use these tax dollars to pay these people?
What a great question. And that's why I use the word grassroots from the very beginning, because our Brevard Save Our Students, every single one of those members, grandparents, community members, the independent oversight, no tax dollars are being spent. I know I said the same thing. No tax dollars are being spent to employ or be swayed by or anything like that for that independent oversight committee, as well as for Brevard Save Our Students. So each of you is eligible to participate as a volunteer. Isn't that great? Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm seeing your hand.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm asking because transparency was something that I know was a big deal. Is that on the website? Is there information about the committee and the transparency and the applying? Because I didn't even know that.
About the what?
About the committee.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Because all of that was such a big deal in terms of the money and how that was going to be spent. And I've been here for a while, and I know that when it didn't pass the first time, that was an issue. So
Right.
So is that on the site for the committee?
There is information that is being developed on the Brevard Save Our Students website, because we know that the surtax is also the language that was approved, and therefore it has to be developed. So like I said, there is a core team of individuals who are helping to establish, and again, volunteers, who are helping to establish. So what I invite you to consider doing is saying, this is important to me. I would like to attend one of those meetings on September 10th or 18th, and that will give you an opportunity to say, this is my voice, and this is how I want this to move forward, because it takes, like I said, the community involvement to have that very strong voice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laine. I really appreciate, from the bottom of my heart, as a mom, as an employee, everything you've done. We're very lucky to have her on our side. Next, we have Stephanie Archer. She's going to be talking to you about choice schools.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. I am Stephanie Archer. I am the Director of Charter and Choice program, and I appreciate Diane giving me time to speak to this wonderful parent leadership group, because you can take back information that will help parents make vital decisions when it comes to their child's education. We are very, very proud of all the schools in Brevard County. We do an excellent job in educating all of our children. But I do want to share with you some of the opportunities that perhaps you may not know about, that I did not know about as a parent until I did a little research until my daughter got into high school. So I want you to be informed as well. I'd like to introduce very quickly my colleague, Carrie Kupek, who is our project director with our MSAP grant, which is a Magnet School Assistance Program grant that we just received in the last October. There you can see are the 5 names of my team members: myself, Christine Davis, Jeanette Ribick, Carrie Kupek, and Marlene Taylor. Anytime you call our office, you will speak to one of the 5 of us, and we are very well informed about everything and anything that goes into our office. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about BPS's open enrollment. Open enrollment is a Florida statute that we have allowing parents to exercise choice when it comes to their child's educational programming. These are the list of our choice programs, and I'm sorry I don't have this for you because it's all available on our website, and you'll see that in a moment. We have our Millennium Schools, our Choice Junior Senior High Schools. We have international programs. We have Magnet School, career academies, career and technical education, and charter schools. These are all encompassing the choices that you have as a parent to select for your student. We have, on the next slide, we have our 3 Millennium Schools. Stevenson, the School of Arts. Freedom 7 is an international studies program. And West Melbourne has a science focus. These 3 Millennium Schools you have to apply to, and it is based on a lottery. They are K-6 programs, and they have a particular thematic focus that maybe your child might be interested in. Our choice junior senior highs are also Edgewood and West Shore. They are just what they are, junior seniors. They're a 7 to 12 makeup. They have very strict criteria as far as their academic admittance. Children must be on grade level. It is an application process and a lottery. The best way to know which school to apply to is easy by Wickham and Pineda Causeway. Anything north of that must go to Edgewood application. Anything south of that may apply to West Shore. There are a little bit of district boundaries regarding our choice junior seniors, but not our millenniums. The other thing that you want to know about them is they are a rigorous academic program. They require community service of the students, and they also have senior projects required for graduation purposes. In many of our schools, we also have international programs. There are 2 international programs. We have the IB, International Baccalaureate, that is available. These are rigorous pre-university coursework studies. They have a diploma program, and they have graduation requirements to fulfill. It's, again, a very rigorous academic program. And I'm keeping my notes here just so I don't leave a school out. In our primary year IB program, that is our Freedom 7. And then we have middle years at Cocoa Beach Junior Senior. And then we have our diploma program that continues at Cocoa Beach and also at Melbourne High School. So if your child would be interested in something like this, again, all of these are applications that need to be completed. And we'll talk about that process in a moment. And then we have our Cambridge program, which is out of Oxford, England. It, too, is a very rigorous academic program. It is credits for specific courses. The children take a test in their junior year. Just before their senior year, they can earn college credit for this. These are sought-after diplomas or certifications that I know a lot of our colleges look at. We do have pre-ACE programs in Jackson, Johnson, and Kennedy. This is where the students begin their Cambridge program, and then they can feed into O'Galley, Heritage, and Rockledge. Each phase of that requires, again, it is a rigorous criteria. They have an essay that they must submit, report cards, test scores, and teacher recommendations as well for these 2 phases to enter into the Cambridge and or IB programs. And if your child perhaps is interested in something more fine-tuned, a business academy, a wellness academy, or perhaps culinary arts, and you will hear Dr. Bingley often speak of our water and environmental certifications. Our industry certifications are huge in Brevard County, and all of our high schools have various offerings. They are targeted curriculum focuses when we're looking at our academies. It is in the academy, the difference between an academy and a CTE is an academy is a cohort of students that travel through their academic curriculum together. It is a 4-year commitment. If you attend one of the academies and you decide you no longer want to participate in it, you must return to your home school. So we really try to emphasize this is a long-term commitment that you are making to these programs. Your CTE, which is your Career and Technical Academy, classes are taken in sequence, but they're not necessarily a cohort of children that work together. There is a commitment to that program as well. Again, you must stay with the program or the classes in order to remain at the school if it is not your zone school, and it does lead to industry certification, which is awesome because very often it's right from school to work if they want to tap into that. We also have magnet schools. We have Cambridge and Endeavor have science and technology focus. And then, as I said, Ms. Kupek oversees our 4 STEAM schools, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. These just received a $12 million grant, and their big focus are all of those subject areas. It is Gulfview, Stone, McNair, and Palm Bay High. So we're very excited about that 3-year program and know that it will continue afterwards. This too is an application process, but simply an application to say your child is perhaps interested in becoming a member of one of these schools. That we do not have criteria to get into the school, and again, you have to, like everything else, you have to be able to transport your own student. But if you have any specific questions about these fabulous programs, Carrie Kupek is the girl to go to. And then, of course, we have our out of areas, and I'll explain the difference in a minute. Our out of areas are simply that you want to go to a different school for whatever reason that is not your home zone school. I know sometimes parents are a little more comfortable if their elementary children are closer to them wherever they work. And so we have the ability to do that. And we are guided by Policy 7120, which is how we fill our school capacities. It also requires an annual application. You don't do it once and then you're done. You have to do it every single year. We do want to remind parents that class size amendment rules all. We will never overpack a school or a classroom with students that do not necessarily belong to that school by zoning. And we do have student contracts that must be signed. We expect our students who exercise this ability to go out of area to any one of our schools to keep up their academics, keep their behavior in check, and make sure that their parents get them to and from school on time. On our website are this particular list that you'll see every year. This is based on Policy 7120, where we outline our schools that are frozen to outgoing students, which means they are under a 75% capacity at the school. We also have schools that are on our list that are over 100% capacity, and those schools are frozen to incoming students. So we advise any parent, please study that list carefully before filling out that application, because it will be immediately denied if you choose a school on this particular list. And that changes every year based on enrollment, developmental growth. Suddenly there might be an influx. For instance, Quest has Strom Park that would be being built, 200 homes going into their backyard. Eventually, they may show up on the frozen to incoming list. They're not there yet. So these are all those things that we take into consideration when we identify the schools that you may exercise the out of area. Here's the difference. This is really important for you to understand so that you can help me communicate that to your parents. The difference between choice and out of area is the easiest way to know. Choice is program specific. I am looking for international. I am looking for culinary. I want my child to participate in a magnet. That's a choice application. And they are at select schools, and we have that list on our website. I want you to know that that application window of time is between October 25th and February 6th. And we are very firm about our deadlines because we have to plan accordingly. And you may say, good Lord, that's a bit early. October, I'm already thinking about next year. Well, yes. Just to let you know, we had over 12,000 applications filed with our office last year. That's a lot to process and consider, and a lot of children changing up schools, so we need to make sure that we're appropriately staffed. So that's choice. Out of area simply means I want a locational change for whatever reason. That's the easiest way I can explain the difference. You want to get closer to home or work. Excuse me, maybe your child has a medical need and you need them nearby, your husband or yourself. These are restricted, though, based on the capacity of the school. And again, that list changes every year. This window of application is after choice closes from February 16th to April 10th. And again, we're pretty hardcore, and I hate to be that way, but in order to balance our schools carefully, the applications must take place in that cycle. There is a bit of a difference, though, with out of area. If a parent moves during the summer or during the year and they've already got an ongoing relationship with that particular school and they want to stay there, they may fill out an application after that window closes because all they want to do is have that continuity and consistency in their child's education. And so we do allow that as long as there's space available. We also have charter schools, and parents often ask, charter schools, are they public schools or are they private schools? They are public schools funded by the state of Florida. We sponsor them. My office oversees their statutory compliance with the contract that they have exercised with Brevard Public Schools, meeting their statute requirements, i.e. How they service their children. They're innovative. They do help us build our capacity. Charter schools do not always have to adhere to all the same statutes that we do. And they are run by their own governing boards and their own management companies. We don't dictate to them their day-to-day interactions. Currently, we have 10 charter schools, and we have 2 to open next 2015-16. When you go to the www school choice at brevardschools.com, this is our website. Anything and everything you want to know about our choice programs are available there. It gives you a little blurb about how to make informed decisions. It talks about CTE, academies, international programs, how to apply. You are more than welcome to call our office if you are puzzled by something or you need a little bit more direction. We answer calls all the time, and we are very, very helpful to parents who maybe have specific case questions that for themselves. But everything that you can possibly want to know about the school of choice is on our website. The last thing I'd like to invite you to is on October 25th at Vera High School from 10 to 2, we will be having a Choice Expo. At that expo, all of our secondary schools, our key middle schools, those that have the Cambridge programs and our IB programs, our Millennium schools and our charter schools will be available for information. If you would like to attend that, if you're exploring some options for your child as they move up through our educational system, you're certainly welcome to attend that. We will be available for questions, and there will be brochures. We will have some performances from some of our schools, and so we look forward to reinstating this. This is something new. The Choice Expos used to be done at the malls, and this was like 7-8 years ago. It's been so long. So we're looking forward to an exciting opportunity to share all the wonderful things that we have in Brevard County. And then the last slide, Carrie, is just some informational purposes. This is, again, my email, our phone contact, and then our website address. You are welcome to contact us anytime you like. Are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. Thank you for bringing that up. And with the application as a $30 fee, it actually goes into the budget for the district. It is not doled out any particular place. Yes, ma'am. Can you make it?
Yes, I'd like to know how you handle the failing grades by a lot of the charter schools, and how, as parents, to me it's a little frustrating to feel that money's being taken from our schools that are making A's and going to schools that are making F's.
Well, I need you to know that the charter schools are statutory requirement from the DOE. The money that is funded is based on their FTE from the state. The money is funneled through us to them. Our 3 charter schools that receive an F have guidance with me. They have a school improvement plan. We watch over them carefully. We work with their curricular improvements. We have frequent discussions and trainings. They have also been participating in our DA academies, in other words, getting help from the state to improve their progress. So that they are making a concerted effort to do that. If we, for instance, have a school that makes 2 Fs in a 3-year period, we will shut them down. And again, this is a parental choice, so you don't have to go to a charter school.
No, I don't mean that. I'm just saying, but that's money coming out of
Yes.
our public schools that are making grades,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
that,
We have very clear guidelines that we have to oversee, so we work very carefully with them. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say, I think that it's important. I work with Dr. Spinner a lot, and a lot of the reasons that schools get Fs are not based on things that the school itself are doing. And so maybe that would help to know why they're, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
a lot of it is based on FCAS.
Yes.
But there's other reasons
Right.
that it's not really the school's fault that they can drop grade levels.
Right. If you go, and I'm sure many of you are involved in the school improvement process, if you sit in those meetings and you're learning about how your school earns those grades, I know that it can be very challenging. Every population brings its own challenges. If you, and I know for instance, we have children that come to us who are not reading on grade level. Well, depending upon how big that deficit is, if we have several years, that's hard to make up in a short period of time. So like any school, our charter schools go to the effort to try to close that achievement gap and work for the students. I know that having those F grades, for instance, we have one of our own that worked their tail feathers off last year, made incredible gains in every area, but still were identified as an F. That hardly seems fair considering how much concerted effort they put into making those improvements. So you really have to analyze the number of students, the programs that are offered, more than just accepting a look at that state grade. And I know sometimes when I get parent phone calls, I'm like, please go to the school, take a tour, talk to the administration, see what happened. Don't just go with that state grade. Anything else? Again, I welcome any phone calls that you have, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And just a reminder to go to the microphone for questions. The reason behind that is that the video cannot hear what you're asking. So the parents that watch this later on, they don't know what you said. Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Michelle Irwin.
Yeah. Good morning. Oh, come on, guys. Good morning. Trying to stay organized. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Michelle Irwin. I'm the Director of Community Relations. We changed our office title because we are not just doing communications, but a lot of community outreach. So today, I'm going to share with you some information. So to start, I want to talk about a year or so ago in this group, we heard from you that you wanted us to engage with you more using digital devices. Would you agree? Yes. Okay, good. Well, guess what? We're here, and that day has finally come. So as you know, we redid our entire website. Like it or not, it has helped us get things a little bit more organized and more manageable. You know that the school district does not have a webmaster. Did you know that? We have nobody assigned full-time to doing our website. And so what we used is, what we have is what's called a content management system. And that allows different departments to go in and add the information that they want. But as part of the entire project, we knew that we needed to reach you mobily. And so we now have a new mobile app. And Jason here is going to demo it. We launched Generation 1 mobile app, which actually I have on mine in my back pocket, because I have an iPhone. How many of you are iPhone people? How many of you are Androids? Okay, well, we're about 50-50. So anyway, so we have it right now. Generation 1 was just the district and secondary education. And what happened was, as they were about ready to launch Generation 2, they said, do you want us to roll out your elementary schools in the old version or just wait and do Generation 2? Well, it made a lot more sense for us to just wait and to focus on that. So right now, you can download, if you have an Android, it is now available on the App Store. You go into the App Store and you search on BPS Mobile, and you will find it. There is an app that's a paid app on there that says Brevard Schools. That is not us. Somebody just developed it and is trying to make some money, okay? Ours is free, and it looks like this. So we're going to show you just a little bit so you can see it. Some of the features about this is that it's customizable. This integrates with the Edline program, okay? So all of this has been a comprehensive project that we've slowly rolled out through Edline, then the website, the mobile app. The mobile app integrates with Edline so that you can go in and log in and you can follow your kids' schools. okay? So you're not going to have to, you can get everything. So a general person, a person out in the community can subscribe or download our app and just follow the school district. But if you go in and customize this, you're going to be able to go in and just get messaging from your schools, news information from your schools, calendars from your school. So that's one of the things we really liked about bundling this whole project together through Edline, okay? This is the launch page. What it'll do is it'll take you first into the district's app. And from there, it's going to take, you can go and either follow schools, or let's just say you're thinking about doing school choice, like they just talked about, and you're thinking about going to a new school. You can just go and select that school and take a look at it, okay? So it integrates with our website. And then one of the features he's showing you right now, one of the primary features on this is we heard loud and clear from you all that you didn't like our center voice messages, or you thought that they were a bit archaic, because a lot of you are very busy people, as we all are, and you're not always sitting at home waiting for a call to come in, or on your at your desk waiting for a call to come in. So the next feature, can you bring up the Connect? Show them where Connect is. Huh? It should be Blackboard the Connect. So from the mobile app, by the way, you can log into your Edline account. You can see where Jimmy is, where, you know, what the grades are and everything. We're all off of your mobile phone. Oh, okay. So the next piece, and this is what you have on, I gave you as a handout, and it is how you can customize your Connect feature. What Blackboard Connect is we've taken away center voice, and we have added in now Blackboard Connect. Connect is our rapid notification system now. Right now, if you get, how many of you have gotten a message from your school so far this year? Okay, voicemail predominantly, correct? Some emails? Edline? Okay, that's Connect. Now, that's not center voice, that's gone away. So that's Connect. To get text messages, we can give you text messages, but you have to go in, you have to take that form and customize it. You have to tell us how you want us to contact you. So you have to go in and add your cell phone. The reason why we can't do it right now is when you fill out your registration information to register your child, we don't ask you. We don't have a field that says put in your cell phone number. So you get to go in and customize your Connect features. Now, a principal or us, we may not always choose text messaging, although I'm trying to coach. We're all in the learning phase as we're going on with this. So, but you can, it will give you voice and email. So what we need you to do is make sure everything is accurate, okay? Because I can't tell if you've changed your email from a Google account to something else, okay, to a Yahoo account. So that, we're putting it now in your hands to kind of manage how you want to be connected with. That's why we call it Blackboard Connect. So that's it. The Apple Generation 2 will be available probably next week. It's at the iTunes store right now. So just kind of keep an eye out for it. Download the app. If you've already you can go and download our app right now. It is there at the iTunes store. It'll just, when the new version comes out, it will tell you have an update to update, you know, your app update, okay? So that's one thing. Number two, how many of you were engaged, I need that up still, in any of our dialogue days that we had last year? Huh? Anybody? Oh, here it is. Anybody? Good. So some of you came to Dialogue Day. We have now started our Community Action Coalition, and I just wanted to go over this with you real briefly. This is being turned into a brochure. We are looking for parents who want to engage in this. This is a group of people coming from all walks of life throughout Brevard County, business leaders, school officials, and parents. And we're just in our infancy stages. So what is a coalition? A coalition is comprised of various invested community members, and that's what this is all about, to help and come alongside of our schools to engage in strategies that will help improve the school system. So that's what coalition is all about. If you are interested in more information about Coalition, Marcus Hockman is our, and it's right down here, Marcus Hockman is our chair for this. His email address is Hockman, Hochman, .Marcus, Marcus, at brevardschools.org. Or you can contact me, and I will get you connected, okay? Michelle Irwin. Same thing, irwin.michelle at brevardschools.org, okay? So that is our Community Action Coalition. We really need people that really like to get in and kind of roll up their sleeves and get to some work done. You know, and this isn't about fundraising. That's not what we're talking about. This is about really they're looking at different issues that a coalition of people can come in and help the school district solve and resolve, okay? The next thing I want to talk about, on your tables, I just left one because you all should have received it by now. That's our community newsletter called EdConnect, and you should be receiving that in your child's backpacks if you have an elementary and middle school child. We assume, yeah, we're done. I need the internet back. We assume that high school students are probably not going to get that home to you, and so I don't know where we got that idea from, but anyway, so that is now being kept at. That is being at the high schools. They've got bundles of them. So if you go in, pick up one and take it home. They're free. And so this is our information to our community to share some of these resources. I was just talking to Dianna about the idea of, parenting tips and things like that. So you'll see more and more things coming out. How many of you follow us on Facebook? Oh my goodness, I should have you all get your phone out right now and follow us on Facebook. We are really excited. We're about at the 4,000 mark now, which is we are steadily going up. This is how we're trying to communicate with you. We will give you information. We will share great things about the schools that we know about, and we're sharing tips, things that are interesting to people. It might be, healthy and nutritious recipes and things like that, easy stuff, for our kids. We really want you to follow us on Facebook, like us on Facebook. We have started, we have a very strong business partnership program that continues to grow here. So now they are sponsoring contests. So our first contest, did anybody here submit something on our back to school contest? No? $25 gift card we gave away for that. And that one was about just your kids and their pets saying goodbye to, the first day of school. Our next one is about the arts. We want to see video. We want to see pictures of your kids involved in the arts. It could be sitting in their bedroom practicing their clarinet. It could be dancing across, doing circles around the kitchen, practicing their dance moves, anything like that. And we've got another gift card. Oh, we got 4 tickets for Wet and Wild. 4 tickets for Wet and Wild will be this. Wet and Wild is a really good business partner of ours. So 4 tickets to Wet and Wild. Tuesday it starts. So go and like us on Facebook because we're going to have more and more of these types of. He's going to bring it up for you. You can't bring it up on here? He's going to bring it up on his phone. It's blocked here. Yeah, go ahead.
And if you like us, that's not enough. When you like us, right next to the like button, there's a follow button. So that way you won't miss anything that we put out. You'll actually get a notification that we posted something, so you won't miss it.
Huh? Go ahead and pull it up real quick.
Okay.
He's gonna pull it up. It's pretty easy. It's Brevard Public Schools. Yeah, it's our official page, Brevard Public Schools official. Okay. Because there are people that start stuff without our permission, okay? So this is going to be a lot of fun. Give us your ideas, too. Share parenting tips. Share with us recipes that how did you get your kids to eat their carrots? Because you wouldn't have gotten me to eat my carrots when I was a kid. So things like that. Those are the things. It should be a community space for all of you to engage in. So there it is.
It's facebook.com/Brevard Public Schools.
Okay, got it? All right, the last thing. I know that Laene did a great job talking about the election. Right here, I wanted to show you a couple things that you should be aware of. How many of you know that we've done this incredibly long and aggressive survey, school by school, to see what types of projects need to be covered at each of our schools? Okay, good. A lot of you do. We did that. And because our community told us they wanted to know, if they approved the half-cent sales tax, how are we going to spend the money? That's a good thing to do, right? So on our website, as you can see, Brevard Schools, under our election tab, if you just click on this, it's going to take you to all the information about how we did it and what will be funded. And I'm not going to take you through all of this because that will drive you crazy, okay? But I just want to show you where it's at. Also, to set the tone for Dr. Bingley, I'm going to show you a couple of our election videos. These are available for you to share wherever you are. And I'm going to show you first Dr. Bingley's favorite.
Kelly and I are like this. That's a lot.
I come home to Cocoa Beach. This is my home. I think it's super important to support schools. It's going to help the community, help the kids. This is something that we can't pass up. A lot of the things that make school fun, people don't put such an emphasis on. They don't think that's learning, but actually it causes kids to want to be there and to focus in other areas. Athletics are the one thing that I think truly brings people together at school. I love school. I made lifelong friends there. I think it's a really good thing.
So this is our major one, and then we have a couple others. I'm not going to show
Yeah, the
them to
arts are
you.
super important. Arts, you know, social activities. Kids are good.
I want to say that my team actually did all of this. They did a great job.
For about 20 minutes at a time, learning things.
And those are there. We talk about the arts. We talk about athletics. That's because these are the types of things that if the half-cent sales tax doesn't pass, we are likely to lose, or it's going to cost. And I'm going to show you one more because this one's been really important because it has really resonated. How are we going to spend the money, and how is the community going to be sure that we're being true to what we said we were going to do? So here's another one that a lot of people have found is helpful.
Authorization of a half-cent sales surtax is estimated to bring in $33 million annually to complete critical renewal projects and technology infrastructure. A large sum of money such as this makes it essential that we share with our community exactly how that money will be spent and how we will ensure it is spent according to plan. What will be in the district plan? We have deferred critical projects for years due to a 65% decrease in capital funding. How has this impacted our schools? Instead of renewing or replacing roofs, HVAC systems, and pipes, we have continued to patch these items, but they are beginning to fail completely and need to be replaced. The bulk of the projects will be for items such as these, as well as security items. What won't be in the plan? Contrary to what many might believe, non-essential items such as air-conditioned gyms or athletic-related items will not be on the list. What does the capital outlay plan include? Our facilities team has done a building-by-building analysis to identify projects and prioritize them based on need. A school-by-school list was published on August 1st, 2014. How will we know the plan is being implemented as it was proposed? The Independent Citizen Oversight Committee, or the ICOC, an organization comprised of a variety of community members, plans to meet regularly to review the plan and our progress toward implementation. They will be responsible to report back to the community the fidelity of the plan's implementation. For more information and to see additional financial facts videos, visit brevardschools.org.
So I wanted to share just some of those resources. Again, these are on our website, and they're all here, and you can just click on them, and it'll take you in. We had Colonel McKnight. Any of you know who Colonel McKnight is? Danny McKnight? He was one of the original people that rescued soldiers in the movie that the movie was made of, from Black Hawk Down. And he has gone on and shared some really interesting and great information. I can't show you all of this because we just keep adding more and more to it. But I wanted to give this to you as a resource, so if you're with people, you can kind of pull these things up and share that, so you don't feel like you have to learn all of this yourself. So that's kind of the end of mine today. Is do I have questions? I'm going to stay here because Dr. Bingley is going to be probably talking about some stuff and might have some more. If you could come to the microphones with your questions just so we can get them all on.
We need you on the mic or we can't hear you on the video.
It doesn't record is the reason why, even if you're loud. Okay.
Have any information on how to get on the app? Is that something that was supposed to be in my packet when I came in, or is that just something that's on these tables?
The mobile app?
Yeah.
It is. We left them on the table. If you don't have one, we have extra copies right up here. Okay? And please come and take some of these. If you want to take them back, that's great. You know.
Okay. One more thing to say.
Hold on. I'll come to you.
Such service, thank you. Okay, I had 2 questions. Technical one is, I have kids junior, senior high school, and elementary. So there's different Edline accounts. Can I put them all in and they'll all accept? So every time I want to go to a certain school, I have to put that particular Edline in? Or all the schools won't populate at the same time?
They'll be all at the same time.
If you log into Edline and you go in and change your preferences, you should be able to do a single server sign-in on that. Okay? There's help on there as well. But if you have other questions, email me and we'll get you set up, okay? But you should be able to do that.
And the other question was about communication. Texting, are we able to do some sort of texting from the school with that app?
Yes. The texting it's designed right now, it's set up for one-way communication. We've not set it up so that, because we're still, in the beta stage really trying this out. We may get to the point where we can receive, where we will receive text back. You have to, though, go in and set that as a preference. You have to give us your cell phone number. So if you want a texting and you're not getting text messages, either you've put in your cell phone number the wrong way or you didn't do it at all. Okay, so no one at the school is going to go in and pre-populate that. We don't even have it. We don't have a lot of your cell phone numbers. So yes, when we go in and we send out a connect message, we click voice, email, and SMS, and it'll pull up. I just sent one out for Space. Anybody here from Space Coast Junior Senior High School? I sent one out. Okay, I sent that one out on the open house being rescheduled. When I clicked on voice, I had about 1,400 plus voicemail number because you all put in your home phone number, right? And then I clicked on the email, and there was only about 748 emails. So unless we have that and you've put it in, we can't get those messages to you that way. Great question. Any other questions for me? Yes.
If you want to make sure that you see the next videos that we put up, whenever we put them up, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel also. Easy.
All right, thank you. And I think Mike, you're going to talk about Keeping Track, one of our new initiatives that we have. Okay.
Scully is sneaking into the agenda, but he is armed, and so he can speak.
Good morning. My name is Mike Scully. I'm the Director of Security for Brevard Public Schools. In the event you are not aware of why I'm here and how I got to be here, Sheriff Ivey and Dr. Bingley and the school board entered into a very innovative agreement with the Office of the Sheriff for us to come in and manage the Office of District Security on behalf of Brevard Public Schools. So I feel very honored to be part of the BPS team, and I feel very honored to be here today representing the Sheriff's Office. I wanted to take just a minute to talk about something that some of you may be familiar with. It's something called Keeping Track. Anybody familiar with Keeping Track? I imagine some of you have had some experience with it by now, and many of you maybe are super volunteers, but been working with Michelle's staff. Her team and our team are working together on the Keeping Track project, and one of the things that we're trying to do is further reduce our operating costs, our recurring costs going forward with Keeping Track by, and one of the things we're contemplating is implementing a permanent badging system for our super volunteers and many of our volunteers. That would eliminate you from having to get a yellow sticker every time you come into one of our schools. So I sense that you think that might be a good idea. Again, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was if we do this, and I know that seems like we're nickel and diming you to death, we would be moving to probably a black and white version of the ID cards that we currently issue to our district employees. For those of you that are familiar with the black and white ID cards that NASA issues to their contractors and their visitors, that's generally what we're looking at. But it would be something that would be valid for the entire 3-year period that you are a registered volunteer for the district. We're still trying to get our arms wrapped around what the actual costs will be. But what I wanted to talk about is, if there is an additional cost associated with that, how many of you would be conceptually supportive? Okay. I think that answers our question. So the little yellow stickers, they're very expensive, and just for reference, and I think this really shares how involved our community is with our schools. But in the first 3 weeks of school, the number I heard yesterday was we've had over, I heard 10,000 volunteers and visitors in and out of every one of our schools throughout the district. That's a lot of people. So to each and every one of you, who I know each one of you probably been in and out of our schools at least 15 times since school has started, thank you for everything that you're doing for us. We will keep you posted as we move forward on this initiative, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen. And I hope to be back with you next month, wherever Heidi is, to talk a little bit more about the district security initiative, some of the things that we're looking at, some of the things that we're doing, and just kind of share with you a State of the Union where we are from a security perspective. So I think I've exceeded my 2 minutes that I promised you, Dr. Bingley, but sorry.
I just want to piggyback on that. For those of you how many of you are like on your SAC or PTO or whatever? So here's the thing, if we do the permanent badging, you guys can order lanyards for your schools and possibly do that as a fundraiser to put your badges on. So that's just an idea also for you to come up with a way to kind of recapture some money in your own schools as well. And so like Mike said, we're moving forward, but we've got some technical issues that we have to deal with as well. But thanks. Okay, Dr. B.
There was a question.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say thank you, because I have brought this up for years. I have 6 children in the schools. My oldest one's 19, graduated last year, and all the way down to a 9-year-old that's in the gifted program at Tropical. And I've been asking about this because we used to go to Stevenson, and we had badges where at least people knew, oh, this woman's in here all the time. She's, part of the PTOs and different things. And I worked in the library. I am at the school every single day every day without fail, between Merritt Island High School, Tropical Elementary, and Jefferson Middle School. So I really appreciate it, because I said, I don't mind signing in, but I always feel like I'm just, they'll ask me to lead people through the school or take them to a class or put things in people's boxes. And I just feel like I'm just another one of somebody off the street, and people are looking at me like, who are you to lead me around? So I thank you.
That is a benefit. It would differentiate people. It's going to have a barcode on there that will scan. So you still will have to check in, just not all of this.
Oh, you want to?
Now that we're talking about barcoding, I guess we all here have barcodes, we all have licenses, but what's going on with the cases of where people don't have licenses and have state IDs? We're forgetting about those.
Actually, those people can sign in. We use your name and your birth date, and we do the background check that way, but the clerk at the office has to do that. We're also trying to work as part of Dr. Bingley's advisory council. It came up that there is an organization in the community that helps people that don't have state-issued IDs to get an ID for those types of purposes. So we're starting to work with that organization as well.
We know we have some schools that have higher populations of folks that don't have IDs, and we're working individually with those schools to come up with a good process, a safe process where we can allow those parents into our schools. But again, this is all about the safety of our students. So we want to make sure that whatever process we do put in place, that we're ensuring the safety of all of our students throughout the district. But we're working with each of the schools. We know that there are issues out there, and it's just going to take us a little bit of time to work through some of those.
Right now, they're trying to go to lunch with them. Right now, they're not letting them in the school.
There is an organization that we want to work with closely. Like I said, someone really gave us a good tip that they very quickly provide citizens with an opportunity to have something that can immediately get.
I'll talk to you. But I just want to state that on our first day of school, we did have a few people that should not have been in schools try to get into our schools, and the new system stopped them. So as Lieutenant Scully said, you know, our first priority is our children. Our second is the parents and everybody else. Sorry, but that's how it's got to be. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you. And I'm Brian Bentley, Superintendent of Brevard Public Schools. Can I ask, there's a lot of faces that I recognize.
We're not getting you on, we're not recording.
Oh, okay.
How loud
Okay, that's all right. Best that I not be recorded sometimes. But anyway, how many are new to, yeah, that's right. Well, I'm used to that. Don't worry about that, you know. Okay, all right. I always try to come and give you some kind of State of the Union, some of the things that our kids have accomplished, our schools have accomplished. So even if you're new, the things that I'm going to share with you are going to be new for everybody. Haven't seen them probably. But I will tell you that generally, first of all, we had really one of the most smooth, maybe the smoothest school opening this year that we've had since I've been here. We had some air conditioning glitches, which we always have, but it was a little worse because of some Siemens connectivity that we've now worked through. But most importantly, this is the first year, I think, that we have not had this happen. A first grader didn't get off the bus. Where is he? And usually several. And then we mobilize, and we do. We immediately mobilize law enforcement. And in every case that I've always remembered, it goes something like this. He's found over at Danny's house. Mom says, "Why is you on the bus?" I walked over to Danny's. And the reality is that all of us, families, are just getting back into the routines as well. But this is the first year that we really did not mobilize any law enforcement agency to find a child. So that's a good thing. But we really did. And we're a little slightly over projection, which is a good thing, because if you're under projection, they take money away from you. The challenge is that being over projection, because most of the state is also going to be over projection, they actually prorate those dollars. So in other words, you get less funding for the additional kids. But it's better than being under projection, and we'll see how that goes. Let me real quickly, and I will have time for questions at the end, but I do want to walk through some achievement stuff that has come in since we gathered last, and it really related to our kids' performance last year. You know, last year was a tough year. I mean, in a lot of ways. We made very, very difficult decisions. We cut $25 million of operating expenses. It was a very, very challenging year. But, you know, I think we stayed on mission. And I think some of the stuff that we're getting back. Now, this is just a compilation. When you know, for the first year, we finally had a year where at the elementary level, particularly, they didn't change the rules on us. They didn't raise cut scores. They didn't make the test harder. It was pretty much this year can now be the same as last year. And this is not terribly scientific. This is just the total points that our schools earn for the kids' performance in math and reading, and learning gains in math and reading and science and writing, and learning gains for the bottom quartile students. And so when you added up all of our schools' total points, how many went up versus how many went down, you added the pluses, subtracted the minuses, and that's how they came out. So all in all, in each of our areas, other than our charter schools, we had some nice gains. This is one, and you're probably familiar with the value-added model, and honestly, value-added model is pretty good in doing what it's supposed to do as it relates to the school and to the district. It's not good because you can't apply it to individual teachers like they're trying to, and they haven't done it well, and that's going to blow up in their face, them being the DOE, if you will. But what it does do is it basically takes your kids and it says, how did they do last year, and how did they do the year before, and then when you compare them versus other children in the state who are like them demographically. In other words, if your child's an English language learner, they're compared against other English language learners. And so the bottom line is there is this predictability model, and they say, well, based on your child and the comparison group, we would predict they would have scored this well. And it really does a pretty good job. That is what we've done in the last 3 years. And I will tell you that when you notice last year, school districts, well, let me back up. 0 VAM score means that kids did just what you would predict they would do. They had the kind of growth that they should have had based on this formula. Anything positive means the kids had more growth than would have been predicted. Anything negative, the kids had less growth than we would have predicted. And when you consider most districts were between 0.1 and negative 0.1, this is not a huge range. That's how it breaks out. That 0.075 is pretty good. It's very good. Just to put it in perspective, last year we were in the top quartile in the state. And that's what our 1 year was last year. And it went up pretty dramatically. Highest 1 year and highest 3 year average. So our kids really did good. And you might say, well, maybe the kids in Florida did good. It doesn't work that way. Florida is always going to be right at 0 because it is a 0 kind of a sum game. If some kids are doing better, it means other kids are not. And so when our kids' VAM overall went up, it means because they are doing better than would have been predicted by more than what they were last year. So that's a pretty good measure for us. And when I say it really does level the field, a Title I school has been our highest VAM score in the last 3 years. Now, when it was just pure measurement, who got the highest scores, our Title I schools just really struggled to be compared at the top. But when you have the formula leveling the field. Okay, let me just go quickly through this because I have just updated this as of last week. These are our industry certification tests, and they're very meaningful. And I've told a lot of people, I just told the West Melbourne Chamber of Commerce yesterday, 200 of them at a breakfast. These are not your daddy's shop class. Although we do have that, our kids do take industry certification in building trades, auto tech. I mean, we still have what might be seen as more traditional. But we also have these assessments are very challenging. That is a huge increase in participation and in achievement. That any engineers in the room? So SolidWorks is a engineering program that high school kids, a 65% pass rate on that is very good. I did share this last year. There are only 14 kids in the entire state that passed the chief architect certification. We had every one of them. This past year, it's a very difficult test. 2 districts have come to actually came this year to kind of say, how are you doing that? Heritage High School has our Environmental Water Technology Academy, and so this past year, for the first year, we had 5 kids earn the certificate out of that. I forget what it's called, but it is a living wage right now. When Steve Crisafulli was asked, what's the biggest problem that Florida will face in the next 2 decades, he said water. And so our kids are getting a credential out of that program that puts them in a very high demand. So this is very, very meaningful. I think I've shared this with you guys before, but we have really driven a higher number of kids into rigorous coursework where they take on the best in the world. And so you notice that in every case, we have a lot more kids taking that coursework, and yet they are being more successful. I want to tell you something, folks. We talk a lot about the achievement gap, but if you don't close the opportunity gap first, then you've not addressed the achievement gap. We have had a 109% increase in African American and Hispanic children taking the AP test. 109% increase in the last 5 years. And guess what their performance did? It went up 116%. So not only did they take the coursework, they're more successful last year than they were 5 years ago. That is the opportunity gap that you have to close first. And then you get the achievement gap. So we're very proud of that. And so when we got these data at the end of the year, I said, wow, that's a lot of kids. And then we also lead the state in dual enrollment AA degrees. And so I asked my accountability person, how many kids are engaged in those things? Folks, that is a big, big, big number. Of last year's graduates, 76% of them, that's an unduplicated count, because some of them did 2 of these things, maybe 3. 76% of them engaged in that international curricula industry certification or earned dual enrollment college credit. There are some states that report that out. Florida doesn't. Texas does. I looked at a district and they were really crowing about, I think about 40% of their kids experienced this kind of coursework. Stuff that used to be the exclusive property of the elite few. Now, 3/4 of our kids are engaged in that, and they are more successful than the global average. This is one we just got a week or so ago. It was embargoed for a while. Our kids, all of them take the ACT. They had a nice increase in the composite score. The composite means all the 4 tests combined. For 5,000 kids taking all 4 of those tests, a tick up of 0.3 in the composite score is a really, really big gain. I'm going to tell you that it's the furthest ahead of the state average we've ever been. We make every kid take the ACT. And they are inching close to the national average. The national composite average is 21. Now, but there are some states, let me give you, for example, Pennsylvania, 19% of their kids take the ACT. Maryland, 22%. New York, 27%. Virginia, 28%. California, 29%. Texas, 40%. Indiana, 40%. So there are big states that just their best college-bound kids are taking the ACT. And we give it to every child, and they are close. We are catching up to the national average. It is a huge shout from the rooftop thing. And you'll notice the state did not move at all in the basic composite. And just so you know, there are states that do give the ACT to every kid. There are 14 states that give the ACT to 90% or more of their students. Their average collectively is 19.9. So when you compare states that do what we do, their kids don't have that kind of success. Finally, the SAT, yes, we are way above the national average. This is some graduation stuff that we broke out deeper than what we gave you before. But there is only one district in the state of Florida that's been in the top 5 in graduation for the last 6 years, and that's Brevard Public Schools. And we require kids to earn 2 more credits than the state. But when you break it out, we are 5th in the state for African American children, 3rd in the state for Hispanic, 2nd in the state for ELL students, 4th in the state for free and reduced lunch students, 8th for our ESE students. The gap in graduation for our Hispanic children is virtually gone. For our African American kids, it is half of what exists in the rest of the state. And we have done those things that I just shared with you. I'd love to tell you that's a revenue slide, but it's not. You've probably seen that before. That is the percent of free and reduced lunch in Brevard Public Schools. And of course, that tick up starts in 07, 08 with the recession and the Kennedy Space Center and everything else. So I'm going to tell you one other thing. Lieutenant Scully left, but let me share one. Where's the folks from McNair? Okay, good. Look, I love me some performance data, right? I really do. But I'm going to tell you something that occurred, and I said we had a smooth opening, and we did. But we had a situation over there by McNair last week. You may have heard of it. There was an individual who shot and killed somebody right near the school. And all that was known was that this person, they believed, was heading toward McNair. And the worry was, might be there already. The problem is, who else was heading to McNair right at that moment were our kids. Now, I'm going to tell you what took place in a very quick time frame. Lieutenant Scully blew out of where he was and headed to McNair. Our central area assistant superintendent, area superintendent was at O'Galley High School. She blew out of there, came down to McNair. They deputized, the principal kind of got individuals who were in the car loop. We sent them over to Rockledge High School. You have to go there. The principal of Rockledge High School opened the auditorium. We called transportation, quickly rerouted buses over to Rockledge High School. Jane Klein, the area superintendent, had to work with Kevin Thornton from Food Services because there are kids who we are required to provide breakfast. And so that breakfast now has to be over at Rockledge High School, right? Rosette Brown, the principal of the school, deputized staff members to go to Rockledge High School to supervise kids, but also there are walkers coming here. And they turned them around. We called the pastor at Zion Orthodox Primitive Baptist Church right on Rosalie and Fisk. He opened the church for us to turn walkers back to go there. We deputized staff members to go supervise kids there. Rockledge PD was phenomenal because they came through as an army and went through every square inch of McNair to make sure we could get our kids back into there. And I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that there were a lot of people, a big old team, all doing stuff that's pretty important, and every ball got dropped to go there to keep children safe. And we debriefed afterwards, and while we had a couple technology glitches where we communicated poorly to our board and everything else, in the boots on the ground, if you will, I mean, our people did an admirable job. I've sent a letter to the chief of police at Rockledge and CC'd their city manager, sent a letter to the pastor at Zion. I just want you to know that is mission one, and there is no mission two when there's an issue that might connect to keeping our children safe. And so we ended up being very proud of how everybody reacted. And truthfully, we got back into McNair pretty quickly for for all the heck that was involved. So with that, you know, I know you guys have heard from speakers as it related to the surtax effort. I hope you'll work with Laene, and you know, all I can tell you is what we've shared with everybody. We have 2 lists, and we'd like to only look at one of them. One of the lists are the things that are out in your schools. They are infrastructure that is going to fail. It's failing now, and it won't be optional. And so if we're not successful with the surtax, then we have to look at the second list, and that's the operating cut list, which we don't want to revisit ever again. I mean, we've seen that enough for 5 years, and there is nothing left there that nobody cares about. And it's just that simple, because the things that will fail are just not optional. They're not. You know, Space Coast, is air conditioning optional? No. When it goes out, you know, we had a, I tell this story a lot, we had a parent last year call the governor, right? Yeah, and nobody's saying, hey, get to it when you can, right? And there's plenty of others. And there's more where that came from, because, like Margaret Mead said, nature always wins. Our chillers don't stop getting older because we don't have money. And I'm going to leave it at that. I think you guys understand what's at stake. I hope you do if you need any information. With that, I've got about 7 or 8 minutes, I think. And I want you to ask any question that you have. And I'll stay here afterwards. At least one individual wants to ask me a question, and I'll stay here. And so anybody want to come to the podium? And or do you have a microphone? Or okay, I guess you got to come up here, because you have to have your voice in official questiondom.
This is kind of just a question. Does our county, our district, have sanitation rules for sports equipment and things like that? I mean, do we have anything, or does each school kind of decide that themselves? My son just got a bacterial infection from some sports equipment, and
yeah. I'm gonna tell you that I will defer that to our athletic directors, who I know talk about this, particularly wrestling. They have to scrub wrestling mats with things, and you name it. I do know of that effort, but the best I can say is, I'm going to say the question came up at my advisory. I'm going to refer that to Mr. Solomon, the principal at O'Galley, who oversees all of our athletic directors, and say, look, there was a concern brought during...
I just didn't know, because I offered to donate, you know, supplies to the school for disinfection.
No, they're in touch with it. Like I said, I know wrestling is one of the biggest ones where they have to disinfect those mats all the time.
This was football, not wrestling.
I understand. I coach that as well. So I will just make sure that we reemphasize the need to...
Okay. So we don't necessarily have a policy, though.
I don't know that there's a policy.
Okay.
You know. Yes, sir. Did I have? Go ahead.
Last year you brought up Parents on Patrol, POT. And when y'all brought it up, Turner Elementary is one of the where I've been volunteering for over 14 years. And they said they were going to do something about it, because Turner on the backside, it's a golf course. Teenagers, people don't even go to the school, cuts through, that's a shortcut. And for them to smoke and all kind of crazy stuff. So I volunteered for it, and I came out here and took the test and everything. That's before Mike Scully was there. And they okayed me. But then when y'all changed over the new system, now I'm just a wretch. It kicked me out of the system totally. And so that's what I brought up to him.
Okay.
That I thought I should have been grandfathered in, since I actually had to get cleared for the parents on patrol.
Yeah, I'm going to leave the clearance question to Lieutenant Scully. I saw you talking to him, so
yeah.
I will ask him to get that worked out with you.
Okay.
What I will tell you for Turner and for all, in our surtax, school safety emerged from our community, and we worked with law enforcement, and in every campus, part of the surtax would be fencing, which is designed to route, it's called single entry point. And then there's single access control at that point. A third issue, cameras, that got pulled out because we don't have enough money for that in 6 years of surtax. And really the law enforcement told us that the two things that are most important, try to gain that fencing, which is single access entry, and then the control at that entry. And that is in the surtax for every one of our schools. So you know, you'll see it when you go to your school, it'll be on the list. But I'm going to ask Lieutenant Scully to just work with you, sir. I can't, I don't know the answer. Yes, ma'am.
Admittedly, I may be ignorant. I'm not sure if this will be covered at a later date and time. But I had a concern at open house this year at my middle school, Johnson Middle School, and it seemed like several of the teachers are very concerned as well. There's this whole new EOC testing that's going to take place. I heard nothing today about testing of any sort. Is that something that's going to be addressed? Are we going to talk about this?
Yeah, you'll actually hear our board chair is going to be talking about this in our next board meeting. Here's the reality. The Florida legislature, in their infinite wisdom, required by this year that we have a test for every teacher, in other words, that is based directly on the kids that they teach. Never mind that thousands and thousands of tests are not yet created.
Exactly.
Right. I was part of a 5-person superintendent team that wrote a letter to the Florida legislature and said, you've got a mess on the horizon.
Yeah.
In fact, on December of last year, I walked over across the way and told our delegation, on the near horizon, you're going to have a mess. And now we've got it. You know, we're working hard to comply with the law, but in ways that are fair to our teachers. And that's all I can tell you. And it is something that the legislature has to take a step back.
Okay, so the Florida legislature is the
yeah.
one that came up with this testing?
Yeah, because the real short answer is that value-added model that I said, that's what gets used for teachers and teacher evaluation. The problem is it only applies to about 1/3 of our teachers. And so people said, well, that's not right. So the Florida legislature said, okay, then we need to have a test and teachers can only be judged based on the students they teach. Well, where are the tests for that? Well, you make them up. And that's what we're doing. It was a nightmare from the start. They're now seeing it. And so stay tuned.
I was just going to say the same thing. Yes, I know that they have implemented that, including even your PE classes and your chorus classes.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem lies with, like, last year we were giving the EOCs for, I know in the junior high school, and my son said to me, I said, how do you feel like you did? And at the end, yeah. So luckily I have pretty smart kids, but I said, how do you feel like you did on these EOCs last year? And he said,
some of the questions we have never saw before. I've never saw before. So I started laughing, thinking this is just my son. He must have, zoned out in class or not done. I went to Mrs. Davis, Dot Davis, who is his civics teacher, who is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. She has done everything from, including when they were studying the Holocaust, to building gas chambers of sorts and having these kids walk through with the music playing, the pictures coming up. I mean, just a phenomenal teacher, really hands-on with these kids. And I said to her, they said they've never saw these. I know that they're just talking smack, that they don't know what they're talking about. And she said to me, no, they are serious. The state makes these tests, and we do not see them beforehand. We do not know what's on them to make sure we've covered everything.
Here's what I want you to know. Through all this process, and this is not new, we've been wrestling with the state for a couple years. We have analyzed years of data and put business rules in place around teacher evaluation with a focus on being fundamentally fair to our teachers. Now, I will tell you, they have those highly effective. We have one of the highest percentages of highly effective teachers in the state of Florida because we didn't put rules in place that were designed to hammer them. And in fact, if we saw a measurement error or something, we gave them the benefit of the doubt because we felt like Florida had brought forth something that wasn't ready for prime time. But we also felt we were doing other things that we controlled in teacher evaluation that we valued. Now here's the deal, gang. Look what has happened. Every year, our teachers' evaluations have gotten better. I go to Tallahassee and people say, why you have so many highly effective? Well, our kids' performance has gone up in those 3 years. Isn't that what we want? Better evaluation scores because we think our teachers are learning and learning from each other, and that's the kind of stuff we put in place. And while that's happening, the kids' scores are, that's a good thing. And I refuse to apologize for it. So we're gonna stay on this. It is a mess. But I know our teachers and our teachers union understand we have tried our best to protect them from that mess, and we will continue to do so.
Hi, my question is on the flip side of the testing and evaluations. When I recently attended our school SAC meeting, they had mentioned that Florida had moved away from the Common Core, that they had named it something else. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, are they just repackaging this and it's still going to be a standardized
curriculum? It's a Florida standards. They made changes, but not a ton of them. And they eliminated some things that they felt were not good, particularly in some of the higher mathematics, and they brought handwriting into it where it didn't exist before and things like that. So we now have Florida state standards. I will point out, standards are not curriculum. Standards say this is what kids are supposed to know and be able to do. And then Brevard Public Schools creates the curriculum, the materials. How do we get them there? So that's a lot of people kind of merge those two, and they're not really the same thing. If kids are supposed to understand author's purpose, for instance, and what you read to do that, how you teach it, that's all up to us. The standards just say the kids are supposed to understand it and be able to analyze it. Okay. Yeah. How author's purpose plays into this piece of literature, for instance.
And is that going to be reevaluated on an annual basis, or?
These are Florida state standards. So analysis and evaluation comes out of the Florida Department of Education. Okay, I'm 3 minutes over my time, but I will stay and answer any questions that you have individually. I thank you for your involvement in this group.
Thank you all so much for staying and sticking with us. Lots of great information was shared today. Remember, there's just a few things we want you to keep in mind. Make sure that you leave those little half sheets of pink paper, your brainstorms. We are going to type those up, and we promise to share them the next meeting we have. Your homework assignment that Dianna gave you, go ahead, give it some thoughts, write it down, email us. We'd love to hear your vision of leadership roles of parents in Brevard. Remember, check for the binders at your school. Whether you've got it or not, Dianna would love and appreciate an email so we can keep track of who has what and get you what you need if you need it. And for those of you that came in after we had run out of handouts, we do have a few extras on the tables. See you next month.